And we're supposed to talk about ourselves and what we do. That's what I'm going to try to do. And I'm also going to try to stay in frame for most of the time. So hi, future classes. So Dr. Meyer, that's me. There we go. So quick question. Here's a little strange. Maybe except for you, because, well, I know you, TJ. And I know you. What do you suppose, those of you who don't have any idea who I am, except for the last 10 seconds, what do you suppose all these pictures have in common? A strange mix. What are these pictures? Do you recognize anything? Some of them are people. We have a young human there. Somewhat of an older human. Who's that? Anyone know who that is? The face that pops up in videos. That's how you know it. Oh, that makes me feel so old. TJ, who is it?
Reagan from The Exorcist.
From The Exorcist, exactly. Or, to those of you 22 and younger, the face that pops up in videos to try to scare you on the internet. So what do these have in common? Reagan from The Exorcist, funky old woman, some words about schizophrenia, hallucination, sounds like some mental illness, humor, and a little baby. Any guesses? Shot in the dark? Go ahead, you want to guess, TJ? What would you guess? No. This is a symbolic representation of the wonderful cornucopia of classes that I teach here at the University of Mount Union. Yes, I will teach you about humor, exorcism, mental illness, and people all in the same day. Doesn't that sounds like fun, right? So I thought I would just tell you what I do here. That seems like a good place to start. I don't think any of you were in there, but I teach a first-year seminar, so sorry, you can't take it, even if you want to. I suppose you could audit it. You could request to sit in. It's an exciting class. It's called Demons and Diagnoses. It is what it sounds like. It's a class about demonic possession and the power of exorcism. Well, really not. It's about whether we're demonically possessed. Yeah. No. Anyone think they could? The fun thing is when the freshmen, half of them are completely convinced that yes, no, that's not possible. Reading it. And it's about them, why you believe what you believe and that sort of thing. But anyway, none of you can take that class. I also teach abnormal. We're going to take that in the fall, the spring. Yes, you're going to take it both times. You're going to fail in the fall, retake it. You have a plan already. What's abnormal psych? What is that? I mean, you're going to take it. You know what you're taking? No idea. That's good. Anybody know what it is? Anyone take Psych 110, the Intro to Psych class? Remember chapter 10? Abnormal psych. What did you learn? What is it? You guys are so taught, I can't shut you up. If everyone talks at once, I'm just going to leave. So I can't take it. It's mental illnesses, so depression, schizophrenia, bipolar, etc., etc. Abnormal psych, so get ready. Abnormal psych is the class about mental illnesses. Well, then we have mental illnesses for kids. Kids can develop mental illnesses as well, and there's a class called Child Psychopathology. So we actually have two courses. Abnormal psych is sort of, it's not really necessarily 8+, but it's sort of a general overview of different courses. And then we have a Child Psychopathology class, which is about kids and the disorder. It's another class that I teach. It's coming up next year. It only comes around once. It's an introduction to a specific field called MFT, or Marriage and Family Therapy. The name is kind of a misnomer, because even though it's a whole other world in and of itself, actually, it's about treating individuals as well. It's just a different approach. It's called a systems approach. There's lifespan development. That's us that teaches, well, about, some of you have heard of that. It's literally what it sounds like. It's in this class, the psychology of humor. That's fun. What did you just have to do 2 weeks ago?
Do a stand-up routine.
Yeah, the psychology of humor. Just think for a second, when you laugh or something makes you laugh, think of all the psychological things that are happening. There's neuroscience behind it, so there's different areas lighting up. There's a cognitive aspect to it, so there's cognitive psych. There's a developmental sense to it. So humor actually touches on all the different aspects of psychology. Many of you probably took that, Psych 110. I still call it Intro to Psych. Child development, so that's why there was a little kid on there. Well, I guess the little kid could have been a lifespan too. So specific class on child development. And then, of course, a class that I'm technically teaching right now. It's actually right now. That's where Turco went. Adulthood and aging is happening right now. Right now, they're watching a video on living and assisted living when you're an older individual. that class. I mean, the class from birth to death, or maybe you're in it right now. My wife teaches this. You could be, the Myers will still be teaching here. No, you can enjoy the Meyer family. First half and the second half of lifespan and zooming in on it. So if you took a lot of stuff, those two classes sort of hit the brakes and zoom in on specific times of development. And here is a little joke for you. What is, I already told you this, I already gave it away. What's the MFT stand for? It was in my family therapy. Here's a little joke. See if you can understand this for a second. I'm the only full-time faculty member that's not a psychologist, but I'm also the only full-time faculty member that practices therapy. So isn't that funny? I'm the only, when is your next topic class? That's Saturday at noon, right? So there's some trivia for it. It's perfect. Now, if you notice, Kevin Meyer, MFT, it's a marriage and family therapist. Marriage and family therapy is its own specific field of mental health. I technically don't have my doctorate in psychology, but MFT it's equivalent in its own way. It's a mental health degree. And the reason I put it, not only do we teach here, when I say teaches here, we also have a private practice where we actually treat and diagnose kids and adults and couples and families with mental disorders, anything from depression to bipolar disorder, you name it. This is, I guess this is how we kind of have it. I'm full-time here and very part-time in the private practice, and my wife's the opposite. She's full-time in the private practice, and if you've met her or you've been in her class, she's an adjunct, she's part-time here. So kind of balance each other, we see each other all the time. Therapist, all in one, and a dad, and a husband. And one thing that I really like to do, and if you've been in my classes, to talk about what we do in them, every single really strong, well, it probably varies from class to class, but a strong experiential component. And what does that mean? You might have heard this. Experiential teaching, experiential learning. Anyone you have any idea what that means? You've probably done it.
Somebody relates their personal experiences.
That's true, and how could you possibly do that?
You've got family members or somebody that's affected by the illness.
Well, it's a good idea. You're on with your name? Josh has actually answered a question. It's on tape. We have proof. So I appreciate Josh actually answering the question. Well, let me show you what experiential learning is. Or experiential teaching. You're going to take abnormal psych, right? When are you taking it? Oh, good. Well, if you have no idea what you're getting yourself into, here's an example of what you're getting yourself into.
Every human condition serves an evolutionary purpose. Fear can keep you alive in a dangerous situation, but keep you from driving your car or getting on a plane. Tonight, one radical and frankly scary method for facing your phobias head-on. It won't be easy. Here's ABC's Lindsay Janis in our series, Project U.
Amusing amusement park.
It's okay.
They're here in the roller coaster capital of the world to face and hopefully overcome their fear.
Sorry,
I don't feel like you're so beg to get off.
But how many of you, when you ride a roller coaster or thinking about riding a roller coaster, get at least a little bit of fear or some anxiety?
Believe it or not, these terrified students signed up for this. They're human guinea pigs in abnormal psychology class.
Which brings us to what Fear Project is all about.
In this unique Face Your Fear project, Professor Kevin Meyer teaches his students to overcome general anxiety and phobia through immersion and exposure therapy.
Everyone's going to get something out of this.
The class will have learned to overcome their own mental corkscrew.
Roller coasters, that's true. But the technique, all sorts of anxiety.
These different anxieties can be treated and even cured using a common approach.
We teach people how to relax their bodies so that they can learn to control their emotions and become more mindful of what they're thinking.
There may now be a class designed to help you over by icy roads. Take this own winter driving school in Colorado.
No brakes. No brakes.
Or afraid to fly? Take a class in fearless flying from a retired.
Wasn't as bad if I get hurt off. Getting over that hurdle.
Ohio Ohio to get a baseline read on the level of fear amongst Professor Meyer's students. 8 weeks early, lecturing the safety feature of the 93-mile-per-hour Millennium Force.
Are those like the count, or do they push them down?
They cannot release until we give the train power.
Be able to run, be able to conquer her everyday.
Where with a crowd.
Mary Tout knows exact feels. Her goal? To not overthink on top thrill dragster.
I honestly don't think
Enough to erase her fear.
as I'm standing here right now, I actually feel sick to my stomach, to say the least. So I guess at least get farther in line.
6'6" Zach Irwin had never ridden a roller coaster because he is so consumed with the idea that he might fall out.
It's a very intense fear, whether it's rational or not.
But he's hoping he'll be able to join Lexi on the Millennium Force in just 7 weeks.
Taking a deep breath is extremely important.
In preparation for the big day, Professor series of techniques.
Step 1 is learning how to breathe. Try to breathe in slowly to a count of 5.
Breathe and focus on the present. Write a letter from yourself telling you what it felt like to succeed. Rethink how you think by watching point of view videos.
It gives their brain another option.
Professor Myers says it takes mindful practice to make them work.
I came back to my room later and did the breathing exercises, and I came out of it.
Is seeing will change.
I think the breathing exercise we've been doing have actually been more than I thought. They're finally kind of slowing my thoughts down.
Zach.
You go home at this.
But Mary is still racked with apprehension. So how are you feeling?
Say your mantras.
You're terrified, Zach. Are you okay?
I'm good. All right, we'll be around momentarily to check your. Who's looking at? Look at that.
Trades her tears for cheers. What does it mean that you conquered this fear?
I was able to push through it and know that I was confident enough to do it.
They hope will follow them for the rest of their lives.
Not like this, I can do anything.
Yay! Well done! Janice in Sandusky, Ohio.
There's something for you to do too. You don't just do this. You don't just sit in the classroom, someone talk, you take notes, that sort of thing. Experiential teaching means you get out of the classroom and you do something that demonstrates something that you're learning. For example, stand-up comedy. We spent a whole week doing 2 rounds of stand-up comedy. It's an example of experiential teaching. Where are you going before the end of the semester, hopefully?
I forget the actual name of the place. It's our last project is we have to go
At a comedy club,
yeah.
Funny Stop Comedy Club. But if you search on some theoretical approaches that we have to humor, but you're getting a lab. And then the lab can be Cedar Point, the lab can be a comedy club, the lab can be whatever you want to do. Adulthood and aging, my class reviews older individuals. So they actually sit down with old perspectives, such as reading about perspectives on aging, chapter 5. All to sleep soon. So experiential teaching out there, and all the classes on that list have some sort of experiential component. Now it varies. You know, obviously we don't take some big field trip that ends up on TV in every single class. That's a fluke. Sorry, you wouldn't be seeing that guy. That was a once-in-a-lifetime deal. But you will do that. And it's a nice way of mixing therapy, the therapy world, and all applied. There you go. When you get into insight, and you want to be, if you want to change, well, neuroscience major, you're close enough. You'll have experiential stuff to do too. And finally, last but not least, we also have, well, you're in it. This is what she studied. We have another major. We have actually 3 majors. We have the classic psych major. We have neuroscience, of course, which has been around for a while. But the new kid on the block, 2012, is human development and family science. Now, from you, what is this? Anyone know what it is? Go into this. Aside from how humans develop and the science of family. I get that. Now, actually, HDFS is my major coming out of Ohio State. That's where I did all my stuff. MFT comes from. The little MFT degree, the doctoral degree in MFT, it's an HDFS degree. HDFS and psychology are like the Lutherans and the Catholics. There's some different, very, very, very much related. They some stuff they disagree on. Well, we don't have an HDFS quote-unquote department here. In fact, you won't really go to a really bigger school like Kent State you think is a little bit bigger, or Akron. Research in HDFS departments. In fact, Mount Union is best degree. So makes it pretty unique here. Here's what it is. Actually, an actual poster, social classes, sociology classes, and a set thing. I saw a class on relationships and how they develop. And I remember thinking like, huh, yeah, there is no HDFS department here. Of course there isn't. There's a psych department, there's a social department, but there's no HDFS. Well, that is psychology. There's certainly a developmental psychology, but that's also HDFS. Families, there's stuff like cognitive psych, there's neuroscience. This world of psychology that has nothing to do with how you develop. HDFS major does is if you're interested in working with people, if you maybe don't even have this, or a social worker, or a counselor, or a family therapist. I took the social major and I took the psych major, development, that sort of thing. We kept those in there, and that's what every class in the HDFS major. Relationships start, how they develop and change over time, development and marriage and therapy, all that stuff is in the HDFS majors too. But so it combines. It's the psych department, second floor and the first floor, working to focus on the people aspect of psych and social. So that's what it is. It's out there. It's not too late to switch. Neuroscience? No, it's fine. Neuroscience is perfect. But she's in it, so and you can join it too. Feel free to just let me know. Do you guys have any questions about what I do or therapy?
I pretty much want to be like exactly what you do, but I was science, and I didn't know if both make
Absolutely. I mean, I guess the HDFS major is designed specifically for that. So yeah, both people are working in family agencies. There isn't just one path. I mean, obviously, if you want to be a mechanical engineer, schools make you to pick mechanical engineering. In the family sciences and in the people world, there's multiple paths. I mean, there's some places you could major in social work. We don't have that here, but there's probably like 5 or 6 different paths in both of these. I'd be happy to have you in the HDFS major though, because it would weed out some of the other stuff. But the other good thing about the HDFS major is it also gives you a built-in minor. So if you don't know what to minor in, when you major in HDFS, psychology doesn't let you minor in psych if you take HDFS, because if you take the HDFS major, you would get what the psych minor is by itself, naturally built in. But the sociology department lets you minor in social. So you would get that along the way, and you can pick up a second minor if you're already working on one, something like that. So, but yeah, either way. Besides from her, does anyone else notice, or counselor, or maybe, or any questions about what it's like, or what you do, how to get there, what to major in? School always seems mysterious for people. More of this, more of what you're doing. Classes usually, but just more school. Any questions? No. Padua? Oh, there's a small school. I'm from a town called Defiance, Ohio. Yeah. Small hamlet. Like 3 people live there. No, it's more than 3. It's like 30. But Pandora is a school. I thought maybe. Okay. Isn't Pandora also some kind of fantasy? It's like. No other questions? Josh, no comments? You had good kites, good compliment. All right, well, I guess that's it. I can shut off the camera now. Stay right like this. All right, I'll shut. I think, what time does your class end? 11.
Oh.